Hi, I wanted to spend a few minutes today talking about this IM lesson plan analysis and why we're doing it. And it also allows me just a few seconds to kind of get up on my soapbox and talk a little bit about the real importance of being an instructional designer and where we need to put our emphasis. All right, so let's just talk about this for a few seconds so that you get a really good understanding of why we're doing this. So the first really question that we have is, what's its value? Why are you spending time doing this lesson plan analysis? Basically, why do you complete that? And we have a couple of different reasons for that. The first one is basically the plan that you're going to be able to follow. You're going to refine this over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully over the last couple of weeks, you've been looking at various different plans. You're seeing some good ones, some not so good ones, but you maybe have taken some and added them together and come up with what you think is a decent lesson plan as far as what it is with the content that you want to teach. That's great. You're in that good position, but there's always refinement that needs to happen. So this is the plan that you're going to slowly start to evolve so that you'll know exactly which direction you're going. And when that happens, you can you actually learn to know where you're going to have to invest your effort and where you're going to have to put your emphasis in as you go through it. What's going to take you more time than other things to get through it. And those things, it'll identify all those various different elements. And finally, it'll help you to have confidence in what you've done. And you'll actually have no surprises when it comes in. You'll have your learners come in, they'll do what they're supposed to do, and when they leave, they score the way that you want them to do. They'll be able to demonstrate what you want them to do. So that's the whole idea behind it. It's like being the architect. Before the builder comes in to start hammering things together, you're outlining exactly what's going on. It saves in the end. Even though you have to invest some effort up front, you really do need to save some of this, and it will help you to save time. All right, now a couple things that I want you to know about. In the lesson plan itself, the lesson plan analysis, it talks about these things. And basically it says you're to create a document that provides a description of each of those elements that are there. Now you can probably see the couple elements that I think are the most important. Why they're the most important is because they give you the direction and the knowledge that you need so that you can actually do the other parts. Those other parts are much easier if you do a good job on these two things. And this is where I'm going to get up on my soapbox. If, as a designer of instruction, as a teacher, as a learning engineer, if you will, if you know what you're doing with objectives and you have well-stated objectives so that you know where you're supposed to be and you know about your target audience, that's going to put out this plan in such a way so that you can be very, very successful. So let's walk through it just for a little bit. So why objectives and why the target audience that are there? So let's just imagine here, okay? Hear this. This is stage B, if you will be, or state B, if you will. All right? That is where you want your learners to be. That's the level that you want them to be able to perform or to demonstrate. That's the end. After your instruction is over with, this is what they should be able to do. You've got to be able to state that in such a way so that you know when you've achieved that and when they've achieved it. And they can look at it ahead of time and know what they're going to achieve by going through your instruction or by learning what they need to learn. That's the state that we're after. So that actually it comes up and it says, it's basically where they need to be. Those are your objectives. And one of the things that you need to know is that you have to state it in a way that you can recognize when they're there. So you'll have to have them demonstrate something. They have to show you something. They have to put some type of concrete word on that so that you can actually see exactly what it is that what your learners are doing. In your lesson plan that you've looked at now, there may have been some objectives already written. Analyze those objectives. Look at them and say, this is a little bit weak. I wouldn't know what that actually means. So restate them as necessary so that you really will know that this is what I want them to be able to do. And they will demonstrate that to me. And once they do that, then I'll know that they have reached the goal that we want them to achieve. All right, so that's the overall objective and the need for the objective. Now, the second part of that is you have to know two things. One is you have to know where they're going to be, but to write really good instruction, you have to know where they are currently. All right, and so that's kind of state A. And in state A, we're looking at is where they are. What is their knowledge level as per your content that you're going to be teaching them. And then you kind of look at it and say, okay, well, if I really do a good job of analyzing my audience and understanding, typically this is the position they're in at this point, then you can start to ask and say, okay, so if that's where they are and this is where there needs to be, you kind of look at it and say, is there any difference between those two? If they're exactly the same, A is right on top of B, that means they already know it. There is no reason for your instruction. There's no reason to do that IM. All right, because they're already there. That is a waste of their time to go through your instruction because they've already got it. But if there's any differences at all, then you have to start understanding what it is that you can get them from A, we want them up at B to accomplish all of that. So that's the whole idea, is what can we do in this area that will get them from here to here. All right, so that's what we're looking at. And now that's where the rest of these pieces come in. If you know where they need to be and you know exactly where they are, now let's start talking about the type of video that you should have, what kind of presentation of information that they need, what kind of infographics might help them to get there. And now you can get really creative and go through that and see what it is. So what you're looking at here is this kind of thing that it looks at, and that's the instructional activities. These are the experience 101 that you want them to go through, the instructional activities, the methods, the media, the interactions that you want them to have, so that you can elevate them from not knowing how to do it to being able to do it. And that's the overall end state. And that's what this overall lesson plan analysis is all about. So when you get to the very end, go back, you're going to create this document, you're going to provide this description of each one of those, but you're really going to nail it on those objectives and on that target audience. Very good instruction on all of that. And if you've done that well enough, then the rest of this will be just simple things you do. You'll be able to look at it and you'll start to play with it and figure out, how we can refine it and get it the best deal possible. Okay, that's my soapbox. If you know the objectives, where you want them to be, and you really understand where your target audience are right now, where those learners are right now, then the rest of it will fall into place as you come up with the creative ways of getting them from state A to having them down in state B. All right? Best of luck with this. Thanks.